21 miles. That's all it takes to control a quarter of the world's oil. A narrow stretch of water where ancient spice routes collide with modern supertankers, where empires have drawn blood, navies have played chess, and global economies hold their breath. You might have heard it called a Strait of Power, but history knows it by its true name, the Strait of Hormuz. Welcome to History Unfolded. Today we're diving into the blood, gold, and geopolitics of one of the most vital waterways on Earth. Long before oil changed the world, this strait was already the spine of global commerce. By 3000 BCE, Sumerian merchants, Elamite sailors, and Dilmun traders were navigating these waters, trading copper, pearls, and incense between Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley. The name itself carries ancient weight. Hormuz descends from the old Persian Hormazd, a reference to Ahura Mazda, the supreme deity of Zoroastrianism. For the Achaemenid Empire, controlling this passage wasn't just about wealth. It was about divine mandate. When Alexander the Great swept through Persia in the 4th century BCE, his fleets recognized the strait's strategic pulse. Roman merchants later sailed these waters, chasing silk and spices, while Arab and Indian dhows turned the Gulf into a maritime bazaar. For millennia, the strait wasn't a border. It was a bridge. But bridges attract empires, and empires don't share. Fast forward to 1507, the Age of Discovery has just begun, and Portugal is hunting for a sea route to the east. Enter Afonso de Albuquerque, a ruthless admiral with a simple mission: choke Muslim trade networks and plant the Portuguese flag where it hurts most. He sails straight for Hormuz Island. In a brutal, meticulously planned siege, Portuguese cannons shatter the coastal defenses. Within months, Portugal controls the strait. They build a fortress, impose tolls, and redirect Indian Ocean commerce through Lisbon. But monopolies breed rebellion. The Dutch and British East India Companies arrive with deeper pockets and heavier guns. In 1622, an Anglo-Persian alliance storms the island. The fortress falls. The Portuguese era ends. For the next 3 centuries, Hormuz shifts hands like a playing card. British gunboats patrol its waters. Qajar Persia and Ottoman sultans vie for influence. But the real earthquake hasn't happened yet. Because in the early 20th century, someone drills into the desert floor and strikes black gold. By the 1950s, the Strait of Hormuz is no longer just a trade route, it's the jugular vein of the modern world. Over 20% of global oil consumption now passes through these narrow waters. Supertankers replace dhows. The British Royal Navy hands security over to the United States. And suddenly, a regional waterway becomes a global flashpoint. The 1980s bring the tanker war. Iraq and Iran, locked in a brutal conflict, begin attacking civilian and military ships in the Gulf. The U.S. launches Operation Earnest Will, reflagging Kuwaiti tankers and escorting them through hostile waters. Tensions peak on the 3rd of July, 1988, when the USS Vincennes shoots down Iran Air Flight 655, killing 290 civilians. The strait bleeds. The world watches. The Gulf War, sanctions, proxy conflicts, drone interceptions, mine clearances. Every decade writes a new chapter in the same relentless story. Whoever controls Hormuz controls the flow of energy. And whoever controls energy controls the global order. Today, the strait sees over 50 commercial vessels a day. That's roughly 21 million barrels of oil and a third of the world's liquefied natural gas, slipping through a passage barely wider than a marathon. Could it be closed? Technically, yes. Militarily, nearly impossible. The geography, international law, and sheer economic suicide of a full blockade make it unlikely. But disruption? That's already happening. Swarming boats, GPS spoofing, shadow fleets, and diplomatic brinkmanship keep the strait on a knife's edge. Yet here's the twist history always reveals. Choke points aren't just about control, they're about interdependence. Every nation that relies on this waterway is locked in a silent pact. War here doesn't just sink ships, it sinks economies. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just a place on a map. It's a living archive of human ambition, survival, and the relentless pursuit of power. From Sumerian merchants to nuclear-powered carriers, the story of Hormuz is the story of us. How far will we go to control the corridors that keep our world running, and what happens when those corridors tremble? If you want more deep dives into the forgotten battles, hidden treaties, and turning points that shaped our modern world, hit subscribe, drop a comment below. This is History Unfolded. Until next time, keep questioning the past, because history isn't behind us, it's right beneath our wake.